In the freezing ruins of Stalingrad, Field Marshal Friedrich Paulus surrendered. It was the first time in German history that a field marshal had been captured alive. Alongside him, 91,000 German soldiers laid down their arms. They were starved, frostbitten, and broken after months of encirclement by the Soviet Red Army. Hitler had ordered them to fight to the last man. They defied him, not out of rebellion, but because there was simply nothing left. Many believed they would be treated as prisoners of war in accordance with international conventions. They didn't yet know that for most of them, this was not the end of the war, but the beginning of a long and deadly ordeal. Quote from diary, "We were not captured. We were devoured by the snow, the cold, the hunger. We surrendered to death." The 91,000 prisoners were immediately divided into columns and forced to march hundreds of kilometers through the Russian winter. Many had no boots. Some wore only rags. Guards shot those who fell behind. Dysentery, starvation, and frostbite claimed thousands within the first few weeks. Entire groups froze overnight. Soviet civilians lined the roads not with compassion, but with rage. Many had lost family during the brutal German invasion. They spat at the prisoners. Some threw stones. The march wasn't just physical, it was psychological warfare, a reckoning, a reversal of roles. Testimony: one man tried to eat a dead comrade's boot. Another cut flesh from a horse carcass, raw. We didn't see each other as soldiers anymore, just animals trying to live. Those who survived the march were scattered across dozens of prison camps throughout the Soviet Union. From Siberia to Kazakhstan, from the Urals to the Arctic North. The camps were not designed for mercy. Prisoners were forced into hard labor digging canals, building railways, or working in mines. Food rations were minimal. Disease ran rampant: typhus, tuberculosis, and dysentery. By 1944, only a fraction of the original 91,000 were still alive. Most had died of exposure, malnutrition, or despair. For some, suicide was the only escape. Note: of the 91,000 captured, only about 5,000 would ever return home. But not all prisoners were treated the same. The Soviets identified officers, skilled workers, and politically useful prisoners. Some were recruited into the National Committee for a Free Germany, a Soviet propaganda group aimed at turning German soldiers against Hitler. They were given better conditions in exchange for participating in broadcasts or writing anti-Nazi material. Others survived by cooperating with Soviet authorities, translating documents or teaching. These prisoners endured a different kind of captivity, one of moral conflict and guilt. Still, even with better food or warmer quarters, they were still prisoners of a war that shattered all humanity. Quote, "They gave me paper to write, but everything I put down was a lie I told to survive." Years passed. The war ended, but the prisoners didn't come home. Most of the surviving Stalingrad POWs weren't released until 1955, more than a decade after the surrender. They returned to a Germany divided, both physically and ideologically. Some were seen as heroes. Others, especially those who had worked with the Soviets, were viewed with suspicion. They had lost families, homes, even identities. And many asked, was surrender worth it? Those who lived never truly left Stalingrad behind. They carried it with them, in their silence, their trauma, and the eyes that had seen too much. Quote from a survivor: "I survived the war, but I never survived the memory."